earned benefits. Every veteran that's out there has a different benefit that may be available to them. And so my job as a service officer, our job in Charlotte County Veteran Services is to talk with them and find out what they may be eligible for and help them to apply for those benefits.
Gotcha. So you were in the Air Force then too?
I was in the Air Force. Every veteran service officer must be a veteran. So
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. It's a very specific type of job. And having served, it really helps us to relate to our clients.
Absolutely.
It helps us to understand what they've been through. And it's that instant camaraderie when they come in the office that they're speaking to somebody who has at least, been through basic training, knows what it's like to have been in the service and to have traveled and picked up their life or to have deployed. And so it helps with that rapport right when they sit down. So,
and let's just clarify a little bit who you actually work for, because you don't actually work for the VA.
I don't. I work for Charlotte County, but even more than that, I work for the veteran. The veteran taxpayer pays my salary, so I actually work for them. I am the liaison between the veteran and the VA. The VA does not employ veteran services officers. They're the ones that adjudicate the claims, or they're the ones that provide the benefits. I'm the one, my office mates, we're the ones that help them find those benefits and apply for them.
Gotcha.
Yep.
That's awesome, and I love the fact that you have that. You are a veteran, so I love the fact that that's how they set that up, because I think sometimes it's hard to take ownership of something if you're not personally involved. Like even like on the medication side, with Suzanne, it's like the fact that you knew what it was like to pay for medications for your father. Exactly. Like you know how important it is to try to find alternative solutions. So to be a veteran. And to be able to relate to these folks that maybe are frustrated or maybe are just not sure where to turn or what's available to them, and being able to kind of have a relatable spirit when it comes to understanding what that process is like.
Yeah, well, it's been really great for me because I'm from here, so I feel like I'm giving back to my community. I was raised here, and so some of my clients, I grew up here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some of my clients, have been my teachers or my gym coaches, and things
I'm always
like
like
that.
so shocked when I hear someone's like, they're like from. I was at something the other day, and this lady was like, "I'm like 5th generation Punta Gorda." I'm like,
I'm gonna blow your mind. I was born in Florida.
Gotcha. Yeah,
I'm a Floridian.
Right. And I get that. I guess because I was actually born in Orlando too. That was like, and people are always like blown away by that.
Yep.
But like being growing up in Punta Gorda, I can imagine like what a change has taken place in the Charlotte County area.
I could not wait to leave, and there then came a time when I could not wait to come back. So
feeling a little outnumbered here as the northerner girl here.
Right.
Yeah, it's a really good place, and I love raising my kids here, and I love serving the community that I grew up in.
That's wonderful, because not only is there that veteran connection, but there's also the connection because this was home, So that's fantastic. I guess one of the things I would be curious about for people that are veterans or are interested in the benefits that are available, because I feel like there's such a wide variety of pension, benefits. I mean, I don't know if there's a different terminology for each one of those different benefits that are available to people.
I think that's part of the problem.
Right, exactly. I know. There's like
terminology.
Right. I know, because we got some like healthcare insurance, and we got pensions, and we got there's just all these like lingo out there, and it's like how do you know what is available to me as a veteran? Like how would I ever know that? Is there any easy way to know that, or?
Really, for veterans, the easiest way for them to find out what their benefits are is to call our office, because even a veteran talking to another veteran, their benefits are completely different
right.
from whether or not they're eligible for health care to whether or not they're eligible for compensation and or a pension. And so I get a lot of folks that come in and they're like, I was talking to my golfing buddy and he gets, all this money and I want to know, how do I get mine? Well, very, very different time
He gets all that beer money.
Well, and that's it, because some of the programs, because I know my dad was a veteran and he was part of the veterans program, and some of them are based on physical needs or emotional needs or mental needs as opposed to financial needs, and then there's another side that's based on financial need.
Yep.
So it can vary based on your financial situation, based on your physical situation. My dad didn't qualify for a lot of the financial part of it, but he did, because he had Parkinson's, qualify for a lot of the physical things, as such as a wheelchair or a special bed, things like that he could get because of his disability.
Yeah, so 3 of the main things that we get asked about is medical, pension, and compensation. VA healthcare, despite what our recruiters told us when we entered the military, not every veteran is eligible for VA healthcare.
Right.
You have to meet certain eligibility criteria, and at the very end of that, if you don't meet any of the eligibility criteria based on exposures or service, it's income based. And for Charlotte County, that income is very low. And so what we try to do as service officers is get that person in who may have been denied VA healthcare and see if we can find a way to get them eligible. A lot of veterans don't know that, yes, it is income based, but they can use their medical expenses to spend their income down, which then may make them eligible. And we are able to take the time to do that for them and even explain it. I've seen so many VA healthcare applications that leave the medical expense report completely empty. Well, the majority of Charlotte County is over the age of 65. They don't even count their Medicare.
Right.
So that's, for a couple, that's over $1,000, $2,000 a year that might make them eligible for health care. And then when you're looking at a pension, pensions are based on wartime service, income, assets, and medical expenses. A lot of folks may not realize that the asset limit has changed. It's no longer $80,000. It's now $127,000. So the pension has opened up to a lot of veterans who may have been denied before. And then compensation is based on whether or not a veteran had an illness, injury, exposure on active duty, and if they have a current diagnosis that is based on that in-service event.
Gotcha. And now, when it comes to like the different benefits that like are available, like say someone is actually currently is receiving maybe a pension or some sort of benefit from the VA, like is it possible that they could qualify for another benefit that they're not aware of? Or?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Depending on the type of benefit they have, I tell them once a year, once every couple years, give us a call and we can just take a look at what they're getting, see if they've left some benefits on the table, because every year rules change,
right.
Things change, income, asset limits change. And so what you may not have been eligible for in 2015, maybe now you are eligible.
Right.
And so they should just always be thinking about us and giving us, a call at 941-764-5579 or 211.
Yeah.
Well, and I think if somebody has a health change too, they should probably check back in with you if they get a diagnosis. We're here talking about, we've got guests coming up talking about Alzheimer's or Parkinson's or something like that. If they get that kind of a diagnosis, then they should be checking back in with you guys too, because that may qualify them on the physical side for some more things.
Certainly, Parkinson's is a presumptive condition to veterans who had exposure to Agent Orange, either in Vietnam or the VA recently has approved service connection for Blue Water Navy veterans, and we're working with those folks. Additionally, Camp Lejeune contaminated water issues just came available last year or the year before, and Parkinson's is on that list.
So would that be like a specific like case where they're saying because of this event, like there's a special like diagnosis now that can qualify someone for benefits, or
yes. So there's certain exposures.
Gotcha.
One of the big ones is exposure to Agent Orange. If someone had boots on the ground in Vietnam, they were exposed to Agent Orange. There's no question. The VA used to have these little spots on a map that if you were there during a specific time frame, then you were exposed, but you had to prove that you were there and that you were, part of a specific unit. But now the VA says if you were in country in Vietnam, if you got off a plane, if you, stepped foot in Vietnam, you were exposed to Agent Orange, and there's quite a long list of presumptive conditions to include diabetes, coronary artery disease, Parkinson's, lots of nasty issues, prostate cancer, that if they're going through those issues, they need to give us a call so that we can file their benefits.
And you know, while we're on the show today, and we have Ivey here too, just want to encourage anyone, if you guys have questions, if you are a veteran, if you do have questions about benefits, you know, please don't hesitate to give us a call right now while we're talking about this subject, because Ivey's a wealth of information. She's got just so much knowledge in this whole area. So, what's the number again to reach us here if
941-206-1580 or toll free at 888-441-1580.
All right.
So the difference between the Charlotte County Veterans Services Office and maybe some of the other agencies in the area, we are accredited with the American Legion, the DAV, VFW, Florida Department of Veterans Affairs. So if anybody's filed a claim previously with those agencies, I am able to access the VA records directly. They don't necessarily have to bring me all their paperwork.
Gotcha.
I'm actually able to go in, just like somebody that works for the VA, I'm able to go into the computer system and see what's going on with their claim, or maybe they got denied for something. I can kind of pinpoint, you know, what's going on. We also have a service officer in Inglewood that's able to do that. And then we have an assistant service officer and our manager who are also able to help.
Well, and let's just say, because there may be some people that don't live in Charlotte County listening to us today, because we do reach people outside of that, there are people like you in every county. Make an appointment?
Sure. 941-764-5579, or if they're in the Charlotte County area, they can just call 211 and they'll be directed straight to us.
And honestly, you know, a couple things I want to walk through in a little bit, Ivey, is like some examples of like of a typical scenario, you know.
There's no typical.
Well, I guess, and maybe what I'm saying, I'm coming from a bias of in the assisted living and the senior care world, you know, where we have, you know, probably I would say primarily in assisted living, where you have someone, and maybe we'll just go here. I was going to get to the 211 thing, which I think is a great resource. We can come back to that. But while we're on this subject of caring for, you know, when someone comes into like our assisted living facility, and we're working with that family, one of the questions I always ask them is, you know, are you or your loved one, are they a veteran? Just to kind of as a qualifier for that, you know, for the aid and attendance benefit. And so that way I know, like, you know, can I send this person to Ivey? Maybe they can help them out. Maybe they can see if they could receive some additional benefits for assisted living. So I kind of speaking like to maybe a scenario where someone's thinking about, you know, moving into assisted living, or that might be something a year or 2 years from now is a part of the plan, but they're like, how do we pay for this?
Well, even if you take a step back to my business, where I have people coming in trying to save money on medications.
Exactly.
I often ask the same question.
Sure.
Are you a veteran? Especially at some women, but usually the guys, because we have our men tend to be 65 and over. I always ask them, especially if they come in with their, you know, retired hat, are you registered with the VA?
Exactly.
Because that's what happened with my dad. We got him registered just for some help with medications. But then as his disease progressed and he was diagnosed with more catastrophic disability, he was able to get those benefits because they had watched his decline.
Right.
So by getting in there and just, it's like 2 days a year that you have to go to keep those basic health care benefits. And if you're even younger, so like some of the Vietnam guys, and pretty healthy, you don't even have to go sometimes every year. I have a friend that goes once every 2 years because he doesn't take a lot of medications and he's healthy. But he's keeping those up so that if something happens down the road, he'll be in the system and already have those things lined up.
Right.
Yeah, so I would say, to speak to the medication part, because that's a little easier, we do get a lot of veterans that come in and they're like, I need hearing aids. All right, well, what we'll do is take a look at their discharge, look at when they served, see if they had a high probability of noise exposure in their job, and we would probably recommend that they file a claim for hearing loss and tinnitus, that ringing in your ears.
Sure.
That usually starts in service. Most kids that are joining the military weren't working construction and shooting a bunch of weapons.
Right.
And so their hearing loss and tinnitus issues started in service.
Right.
So if we're able to get them service-connected disabled, then it doesn't matter how much money they make or what they do. They're automatically eligible for VA healthcare if they're service-connected 10% or higher.
Sure.
And then they get free hearing aids. If we're not able to get that for them, if they meet the other criteria, we can get them enrolled in VA healthcare. Sometimes, based on their copays, they will get less expensive medications. Not always. I always tell folks to take a look at their insurance and what Medicare pays for, and look at what the VA does, because not everything is cheaper all the time.
Right.
And that's what we started with my dad. It was honestly one medication that all of a sudden went up in the beginning of a year from a reasonable copay to a very expensive medication.
Yeah, I get
and
a lot
typically
of-
those are the guys that I'm getting. They're coming in with a $300 or $400
The
a month.
donut hole.
Well, or a $300 or $400 a month medication for heart problems or something like that, and I'm like, if you're a veteran, at least go try.
Yeah, because it'll be way cheaper.
Right.
They're not that
just go
much.
try. You
'Cause
know.
at least you'll know. Like, I gotta
Right.
say, if I go see Ivy first, at least I'm finding out, is this going to be a cheaper alternative? Is it even possible? Am I covered? And then at least I know, like, I got my bases covered there, and I can move on to the next
And
step.
I think some of the older guys, going back to like Korea and that, they have tried maybe at some point and were discouraged by going to the VA and getting
lot
kind
of
of a run
times-
around.
That's because they hadn't seen Ivy yet.
Right.
That's the problem.
That's why Ivy's here.
Right.
A lot of times it's actually their spouses that are calling me. They'll hear me on the radio, they'll hear Josie,
Right.
out speaking, or one of our other service officers, and they'll say, hey, my husband, he's so frustrated. He got denied so many years ago. And we take a look, and lo and behold, maybe they didn't know the questions to ask. Maybe they made too much money back then, but now they're retired and they have less income, and now they're eligible, and they're really happy with that. But then to speak to your question about pensions, we do have a lot of folks, a lot of family members that call us and say, hey, my mom or dad is a veteran. We're taking that next step where they either need home health care at their house, or they need adult daycare, or they need to move into assisted living. What do I do?
Right.
And so...
And that pension can actually pay for someone staying at home or assisted living.
Yeah,
or,
so the way I try to frame the aid and attendance, it's basically a non-service connected wartime pension.
Right.
And then there's an enhancement of a housebound or aid and attendance. And the way I try to frame that is actually a reimbursement.
Okay.
Because in order to get that benefit, a lot of times you have to be able to show that you're paying out for those expenses.
Gotcha.
To get that. For a low income pension, a lot of times you're able to say, this guy's only getting like $1,100 for Social Security, and he's got a couple $100
Sure.
in medical expenses. The VA will reimburse him every month a little bit of money, right?
Right.
Well, for aid and attendance, you're basically saying, hey, I'm at home or I'm in assisted living, I'm paying out $2,000 a month,
Right.
but I only get $1,000 a month.
Right.
Well, the VA takes that and then they reimburse them for those medical expenses up to the maximum allowable pension rate. And we have those charts in the office. We can explain those to people. But say for a single veteran, their maximum allowable pension rate for aid and attendance is $1,881 a month.
Right.
Think of that as a reimbursement every month that the VA will pay you back.
Right.
So like even if you're paying $2,000, the VA, that pension rate isn't $2,000. It's
Right.
only $1,800.
Right, gotcha,
But
yeah.
that's still something, right?
Right.
That
So-
can
so it's
either
like-
get more care,
Sure.
or can keep you in your home longer.
So if it's like, and I always think about it too. Like, say someone like they only were bringing in, I guess like $1,500 a month,
Mm-hmm.
and so like assisted living might seem out of the question.
Right.
but then you add this
You
pension.
add that maximum allowable pension
Right. And we're
every
now,
month, and now you may be able to either, get that single room instead of the double room, or, get that higher level of care, or get more activities of daily living,
Right.
or be able to stay there longer
Sure.
because you have that income.
And now you could go from basically, $1,500, a month to $3,200 a month. And then, if a family needed to chip in, or if I'm sure there's other ways then to, to make it work. And so, but at least that way, you can take these different pieces, put them together, and actually get the care that you need maybe for your loved ones. So.
Yeah. And pensions, are actually one of my favorite things to file for, because it's all math. It's if the numbers work,
Right.
and the care is there, if that person is in the assisted living, or if they're getting that care from home health care or from adult daycare that meets those requirements for activities of daily living, then the benefit is there for them. There's really no argument that the VA can give, because the numbers don't lie, right?
Right. And I know one of the questions too that I think, at least for some period of time, and maybe it might be more of an industry question than those that don't know, but like if someone were to apply for like a pension like that, what is the time frame? Like what's the amount of time they should expect, to actually receive those benefits?
So the VA was doing really good last fall. I was getting some back in like 30 to 45 days, and the kicker really is do the paperwork right the first time.
Right. Submit it through Ivey.
Submit it through a service officer, because they're well,
I'm just kidding.
we all got the same breadth of knowledge. The Inglewood officer, she actually worked for the state of Wisconsin before me, so she might have a little bit more. She's better at appeals, I would say.
Gotcha.
But you've got this.
It's all about knowing the right person.
You've got the forms, so folks will go out and say, "Well, I can just do the forms online. They're right there."
Right.
Yes, but there's more evidence required, and so I've had quite a few people come in and say, "It's been a year and it's still not done."
Right.
And I'll look at them like, well, you're not giving them the evidence that they need.
Right.
Well, it's not like the VA is really clear on when they ask you for something.
Sure.
And so what we do as service officers is we know what they want.
Right.
We don't give them any more or any less than what they need to adjudicate the claim. Some people can provide too much information.
Right.
Anything you give to the VA, they have to develop it. They
Right.
have to figure it out. So if you send them a bunch of receipts and a bunch of information, they're not going to know what that is. So they're going to ask a question. Every time the VA has to ask a question about a claim,
it was not 30 days.
there's a 30-day, it's all computerized, right? So they send it out, there's a 30-day suspense, right? And even if you send it in on the 15th day, the computer doesn't pop it up on somebody's computer until 30 days.
Because it's a system.
It is, it's a computer system. And so I know it's frustrating for people, but and that's another thing that service officers do, is we explain the process. This is why it takes so long. This is what happens. So even though claims before were taking a little less time, now I'm averaging about 4 to 6 months.
Okay.
But I can, go in a computer system and check and make sure that the VA doesn't need anything, or that it's processing normally, because, sometimes things get lost in the shuffle, sometimes things get misfiled.
Right.
And so if a service officer is working with a client, we can take a look in there and see what's happening. If they're missing something, we can usually help them get that. But it's just really important to do it right the first time.
Right, sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and there are some benefits in going to Kris's question on home health and that type of thing. There are benefits that even if you don't qualify for aid and attendance, but you have qualified for the health care, there are some of those home health care benefits as part of that.
Yes, so if a veteran is enrolled in the VA healthcare system, their patient access care team, I think it's a PACT, I think that's what the acronym is.
Yep.
They are able to send a social worker or do an assessment to see what that veteran's needs are. And usually I would say the average is a couple hours a day, a couple days a week for services. So say you've got a veteran that's receiving home health care, home-based care from the VA, but it's not quite enough, then they can go to an outside agency and pay out of pocket. So they may be eligible for the home health care side and also a pension through additional services that they're paying out of pocket for. And that's something that, we're happy to work with families and veterans and spouses with. even for planning purposes. You know, the VA, the pensions, they're not really pre-benefits. So if you've got somebody that you're planning 6 months, don't do a whole lot of paperwork beforehand, but at least we can give information and help the families prepare. All they need to do is give us a call.
Well, and we talked a little bit last time about people getting into that situation where they just can't handle it anymore and they end up with Kris. That's where my family was when we started to get more involved with some of the healthcare benefits. And by doing this show, that's what we're hoping to help people do, is avoid that urgent situation where they've got themselves, that the family is just stressed out and at wit's end, which is where I walked into the social worker's office and said, okay, help me.
Yeah. And I talk to clients all the time and I say, before this becomes an emergency, you know, call the state veterans home, call a placement agency, call, you know, service organizations and see what they can do. Even if he doesn't need it now or she doesn't need it now, prepare and don't be surprised. The Douglas T. Jacobson State Veterans Home, they usually have a waiting list. So even if somebody isn't ready now, if you see that happening, if you see that you might want that to happen for them and they may want to be in a facility with only other veterans, do the paperwork now. Get on the waiting list.
Exactly. And I think the hardest part is seeing someone walk, you know, into your, like, at least in our situation where they're looking for care and it's in a crisis situation, you know, it's like, whether they're just so burnt out, I'm done, you know, or it's like they just came down from up north and for the last 2 years, mom's been declining or their parents have been declining and they just realized how bad it really was.
Well,
you know,
or mom's been covering it up and it's dad that's declining or vice versa.
Exactly.
We see it all. Before I came here, I had a woman that was really stressed out. Her husband got to the point where, you know, she is really unable to care for him anymore. She can't lift him if he falls. And it's an emergency now.
Yeah.
But I've never talked to her before.
Right.
And she, you know, her husband just didn't want to use the VA, didn't trust it. And I think, you know, we've seen the news a couple years ago about all the negative press the VA was getting in Phoenix and some of the other areas where people just weren't getting contacted. I would hope that nobody in Charlotte County goes through that because they have service officers. None of my clients would have those issues because I would be there, you know, advocating for them. Amie and Ingle would be advocating for them to get the services. Why haven't you called my veteran back? Why isn't he getting the care that he needs?
And I was just thinking about this too, like, because like if someone, because of the fact that there's people out there that might be like trying to help with this service, but they may not be like how does someone know if they're speaking to a veteran service officer like yourself, or if they're speaking to, like, you know, Joe Blow on the street that's got a financial services business? I'm saying how do you really qualify, hey, is this person qualified to help me if I'm an individual, you know?
Yeah, so there are veterans agents out there that are accredited with the VA. Generally they're going to be like financial planners or advisors. Generally, so they're not allowed to charge for the services that they're providing. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll you know, put somebody's money in a trust, or they'll do something with money, and then they'll do the VA paperwork as a courtesy. But the problem with that is they don't have access to the VA system like I do. They can't look and track that claim. Once it's gone, it's gone. They don't know what to do. You know, if somebody is charging you money for something, that's a pretty good indication that they're not a county service officer. And I sort of put it this way. They've already paid for my services by paying their taxes. That's why it's illegal to charge for my service, because they've already paid for it. You shouldn't have to pay again. It's free.
So most of the service officers like you are located in a county facility or a VA.
Or a VA facility,
So if you visit someone that says they're a service officer and they're in a business,
they'll usually use the term veterans agent or accredited veterans agent. And they are accredited with the VA to file these types of claims.
And it's probably not saying that
they're not doing it for free.
They couldn't help, but it's just that, like, if you want to make sure that you're taken care of, and that you're doing the right thing.
And that
you
you
know.
have the person that's going to be there to fight
Right,
for you
yeah,
when
exactly.
you need
Right,
it.
right,
Yeah,
right,
you know,
right.
you can check a county website, call your local 211 in the state of Florida, wherever you are. If you call 211 and ask for your county veteran services office,
Sure.
you're going to get that county service office.
Sure, absolutely. No, that's good stuff. I mean, I think the hardest part about this whole thing is just navigating all these things. There's so much to it, So I know when it's a crisis situation, it could be a financial, it could be a care crisis, it could be. There's just so many crises that could take place. So I know that's why the whole point of the show is to encourage that. It's like understand your care options, understand your financial benefits, look into the VA stuff, understand your medication options.
What happens, and I'm going to ask this because we had a neighbor
Sure.
that there was a couple of us that got involved that had a surgery, got an infection, was already registered for VA healthcare, but when he came home from rehab, he needed more care and he didn't know what to do. So he was relying on people from his church and people from the neighborhood to take care of him, and they were getting burned out. So we kind of got involved, and the one neighbor came to me that was helping care for him and said, what can we do? He's a veteran. I know you did that with your dad. What can we do? And I gave her some advice as far as contacting his social worker. So if someone sees someone in their community or in their neighborhood, can they contact you and kind of help hook you up with that person?
Oh yeah, we have neighbors call, we have clergy members call and say, hey, there's somebody that goes to my church and they're struggling. They seem to be having some issues, or he wears the same clothes every day, and I'm just a little worried. Or hey, I noticed this homeless veteran that's been hanging around and we just have some questions. They can always give us a call because we have a lot of partner agencies that we work with that not only for VA care but also for community care that we're able to get them assistance with. And so for that neighbor that you had, we would have probably worked with him to get him some home health care services. If he needed to go to a VA facility more long term, the VA even has medical foster homes that they're able to get people into through their internal workings. So
well, we
there's
were
lots
able
of
to get him
options.
to talk to the social worker, and I think he did get what he needed. We
Yeah.
were able to get the help. But I just wanted to let people know that it doesn't have to be your family
Yeah,
member. It
sure.
could be someone
Yeah.
else in your community or in your circle
Right.
that you could help.
Yeah, and I just, on the healthcare side, the choice program has gone away. It used to be the veteran choice program where if the VA couldn't see you within a reasonable amount of time or within a reasonable distance, they would give you community care. And sometimes even with your own provider within the county. It's now the Mission Act. It's pretty similar to choice, only better. They've worked out the kinks of the choice program. They've got some better contractors. I think it's only one contractor that they're dealing with now. So payments are going a lot smoother. And so if somebody's not able to get VA care within a reasonable time, they should, through the Mission Act, be able to go to an outside provider. The Mission Act now also provides urgent care, where before a veteran's only recourse in Charlotte County would be to go to the emergency room. Charlotte County doesn't have a VA emergency room.
Right.
And so we were getting a lot of denials for services because the VA would come back and say, well, it wasn't an emergency. Well, what's in between regular care and an emergency? Their only option at that time was the ER. So now there are certain stipulations, and it's all on the VA's website. If they just Google VA Mission Act or VA Urgent Care or call us, we can go over that with them. But now you can go to a couple of approved walk-in clinics in Charlotte County for those intermediate issues.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's
And they'll
really
get paid.
Yeah. Well, what do you think when you think about all the people that you care for, Ivy, or that you've worked with? What do you feel like is like the most popular need when someone comes into your office? I mean, is there one that stands out more than others, or as far as benefits that you help someone with, or?
I think just because of the population of Charlotte County, we do a lot of aid and attendance claims, a lot of pension claims.
Gotcha.
And those are for wartime veterans who are either receiving home health care, adult daycare, or assisted living. And then beyond that, we do a lot of compensation claims for veterans who may have been injured in service, who may have been exposed to contaminated water at Camp Lejeune, or exposed to Agent Orange, or radiation exposure. All
Yeah,
kinds
that
of stuff.
10% disability is actually a very low qualification.
Yeah, it goes all the way from 0 to 100.
Yeah, so you don't, but I mean, a 10% of disability could just be that you don't see very well, or, I mean, if it's related, but.
I see a lot of veterans who have never applied for hearing loss and tinnitus. It boggles my mind.
Yeah,
They may have filed claims in the past and never added to that claim hearing loss and tinnitus.
Right, because hearing aids are expensive. It's not like
And
it's
often
They're
not
so
paid for.
expensive,
Right.
and they're not.
Yeah.
TRICARE doesn't cover them. Champ VA doesn't cover. They don't get.
Well,
they
even
don't
a
get
lot
covered.
of regular
Right.
Medicare insurances
No,
don't
they
cover.
don't.
Well, and-
So if you have hearing loss,
Right.
most of our
Sure.
our
Yeah, no,
demographic
yeah,
has
100%,
hearing
yeah.
loss.
Right.
You know, if you were in the Navy and you were on an aircraft carrier, if you were in the engine room, if you worked around artillery, if you've got somebody that was in Korea, they were probably around some type of artillery. Same with Vietnam, and so they should really be looking into
I
hearing
was
loss
going
and
to say,
tinnitus
even
claims.
somebody that was shooting guns, does that
Training, weapons, hearing
Which-
protection was not always used. I didn't even use hearing protection
Right.
very often.
And
And I worked on the flight
Right,
line.
right. It's amazing to me, like the thing about all the people that like they just like they didn't wear hearing protection, or they didn't do this, or but nowadays we're so coddled. Like I'm just saying, compared to like the older generation, man. Like
Well, I tell a story. I had a guy just a couple months ago come in my office, and he was like, I really need hearing aids, and nothing was fitting. He made too much money, just a little over, but I couldn't make it happen. So we just kind of a Hail Mary, we filed a claim for hearing loss and tinnitus. He is now 100% totally and permanently disabled for hearing loss
Wow.
from his time in service. He served in Korea.
Wow.
All of these years, he never
Yeah.
filed a claim for that.
Gotcha.
Ever.
Yeah.
He makes over $3,100 a month now
Wow.
because he walked into my office and said, I
Well,
need hearing
and
aids.
people probably don't think they could be 100% disabled for hearing loss.
Right.
They don't.
They-
Why would you?
I know, and that's why it's like outreach is so important. I mean, I feel like that's why, like even like listening to you talk today, I'm like, God, everyone needs to know this. I'm like,
'Cause I would have
how do
never
how do we
thought-
turn the volume up on this thing? Like,
I
yeah,
never would have thought that hearing loss would make you 100% disabled.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could. He really could not hear. I was very surprised that he had never filed for hearing loss.
Well,
and
at least he was
tinnitus
coming
before.
and asking. I've had some customers that needed to go and get hearing aids, and yeah, I have a hard time deciding how to approach that with them as I'm trying to talk to them,
Right,
and they're
right,
not
right.
understanding.
Yeah, I mean, and even the clinic will tell people, if they don't fit within the criteria, they're going to say, you should just file a claim for hearing loss and tinnitus. Try. Why
Yeah.
not?
I'm pretty sure
can't
Chelsea
think,
thinks I have that.
You can't apply.
There's a difference between selective hearing and loss of hearing.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, I'll have the veteran and the spouse in the office, and I'll be asking the veteran questions, and he'll be like nodding his head, and his wife's shaking her head.
I think a lot of older men are
Right.
like that. My dad was
Right.
like that. I can remember going to his first healthcare visit at the VA with him, and the nurse asked him, "Do you fall? Have you ever fallen?" And
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh, occasionally." I'm like, "No, not occasionally."
Right. You know what? I was just thinking about that when you guys were saying that though. Probably the best thing to do is if people come back to your office, is make sure they bring a spouse.
Yes.
Or a child,
or
or
a child,
friend,
or someone that really knows them. That's
Exactly.
probably why they're not qualifying. 'Cause-
Well, and here's the thing,
Yeah.
and here's how to make a little bit more sense. Is in the military, you don't complain.
Right.
You don't complain. You don't go to the doctor. You don't say something's wrong. And so that follows you even in your civilian life,
Right.
where I'm fine, it's
I'm fine,
okay,
yeah,
I'm gonna, soldier on. It's a term for a
Yeah.
reason.
Well, I think
And-
even that generation, if we're talking about Korea and that.
I just had a guy from OAF in my office today saying, I'm telling him, you need to complain about these things. You need to start talking about the things that are bothering you. And he's like, that goes against everything that I've ever done or been told in the military. And he's like, I know. But now is the time to start
Right,
talking
right.
about things.
Yeah.
Well, what I was saying is I think that the 60, 70, 80-year-olds just generally, even as
Yeah.
population, tend to think, oh, it's really not that bad.
Right.
You know, I don't need.
Or
I
they've
don't
had
need
it
to
for
ask,
so long.
or I don't need to ask for help. I mean, I'm
No,
okay.
it's
You know,
so fun. I mean,
there's other people that are
yeah.
worse than me, and
Sure.
we're like, just ask. It's
Right,
there.
right,
This
right.
is stuff is there for you, whether it's a VA service or something else that we'll talk about down the road. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of people out there with a lot.
Right.
I need help.
Sure.
Or I just need money, or I need hearing aids, or I need.
They literally just need to call us and say, I'm a veteran and I'm wondering about my benefits. They don't
Right.
have to ask us
Right.
for anything.
Right.
We can take a look at when they served, what they did, and we can ask the questions that they don't know to ask.
Exactly.
Because they just don't.
Sure.
And going back to, that veterans don't complain and it's just not in our nature. And so a lot of veterans also say, well, somebody needs it more than me. Somebody could use it or
Right.
deserves it more than me. And when you're talking about VA healthcare, that actually goes against what they're trying to do. VA healthcare, their money is appropriated by Congress. So if everybody says everybody needs it more than I do and nobody uses VA healthcare because everybody needs it more, VA healthcare goes away because nobody's using it. So when VA says, hey, Congress, we need money, Congress says, well, you
didn't
don't
spend
have,
it.
nobody's using your services, right?
Right.
And so if you are eligible, you should be applying for those benefits so that other veterans can continue to get those benefits.
Gotcha.
It's very important.
Well, and don't wait till you're in crisis.
No.
Because like I said with my dad, that's I think why we were able to get so many benefits as his disease progressed,
'Cause you already
because
had
he
it
was
occurred.
there.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was in there when he first started falling,
Right.
when he just needed some help with paying for his medications.
Right.
And then as his disease got worse and he needed more care and we needed more help, we were able to add on the things that he needed.
Sure. And you guys you were taking a proactive approach. You were.
Well, we
like,
still
trying
got to kind of a crisis point,
That's it,
but
yeah,
we were
yeah,
already in
yeah.
the system. So when
Right.
we got to that crisis point, all I had to do
easier,
was
yeah.
walk into the social worker and say help, and within days we had stuff.
Yeah.
Because we were in there and he had been in a few months before and saw the doctor, and we, it was
Right.
a lot easier, I think, because we were already in
Yeah.
there when he was healthier.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
funny,
because it does take a while to get established in the VA, either in VA healthcare. You have to apply, then you have to be approved, then you have to get a primary care
Sure.
appointment.
Sure.
And so that may take a few months for
Yeah.
everything to be done throughout the process, even if you are enrolled within a week.
Right.
And then pensions take months and compensation takes months.
And it's funny because like even for like home care, like the other day we were we were talking to someone and they were like what happens if I have an emergency and my husband and we're like, that's why you should go ahead and just sign up with us and get all of that information into the computer, have our team go to your house and visit with you so we know what the surroundings are like, and then you don't have to use us tomorrow, but at least if there's an emergency and you got to go to the hospital and you're scared for your spouse or your loved one who's going to be at home by themselves or they're going to be lost because you're the one that's actually taking care of them, now you have a point of contact and you have someone to reach out to instead of trying to figure out what happens to my loved one while I'm gone.
Well, what I see so often, to your point about emergencies, is family members will come down and dad or mom is incommunicative and they can't find their discharge.
Right.
So if you're a veteran or a spouse of a veteran, find that DD-214, find that discharge and put it somewhere safe. Give copies to your friends and family. Bring a copy
Right.
to our office. We keep things on file for 7 years in our records, so we'll have it. If you don't have a discharge, if you can't find it, if it's illegible, you can give us a call at 941-764-5579 or 211, and a service officer can order one for you. Or if you have family out of state that wants to order it for you, they can go to archives.gov and click on military records and order it, because that could take anywhere from 30 to 90 days.
Sure.
And all too often, I have somebody in my office that wants to file for benefits
Right.
and they don't have their discharge. That is the key to unlock everything.
Wow, and absolutely, and I know I meant to ask you earlier, and I forgot, but the 211, what is that for people that don't know what 211
So
is?
211 is information. It's Charlotte County information. It's not, just for veterans. So if you have a question about services that you are looking for you can call 211 and they can reach out to.
So if you're like curious about transportation, or
Yep,
if
they'll
you're curious
get you in
about,
touch with transportation.
Yeah,
They'll give you the
gotcha.
number, or they'll transfer you if they're able, if it's a county line. And for veterans, 211 is easy to remember.
Right.
They'll transfer you to veteran services where we can reach them.
Awesome. And where are you located, Ivy? If someone wanted to meet with you in your office, where would they go?
We are at 1050 Loveland Boulevard in Port Charlotte, and also 6868 San Casa Boulevard in Inglewood. We are really by appointment only, and that is for the veterans' benefit.
Sure.
We want to be able to take
Spend
that time with them. We do take walk-ins, but usually it's to make them an appointment.
Gotcha.
You know?
Awesome. And then now is it just you in that office, or are there
So it's myself, Trisha is the assistant service officer, Josie Henderson, the manager, and then in Inglewood, we have Amie Pomeroy. She's the service officer.
There's a support team there for everyone
Yes.
out there, So awesome.
Yep.
Awesome.
If you leave a message, we'll call back usually within 24 to 48 hours. Yeah, we're looking forward to talking to everybody that's listening.
Did we miss anything? Is there anything that you would normally want to put out there that we didn't ask you?
Oh. We just want them to reach out to us. If they're not in Charlotte County, reach out to their county service officer and just find out what is available. If there's nothing available now, they'll let you know when something might be available,
That's awesome. Well, Ivy, thank you so much for your time today, and we really appreciate you being able to educate people on what services are available to them and what's out there. For us, I know we want this show to be very educational for families. So I know next week I believe we have an elder law attorney coming on. We have a couple other things as we go out throughout the rest of this time to educate people on the different things available. And this is just one piece to a larger puzzle or a larger picture that people need help with. So we're trying to find resources available to you guys. So if you guys have questions that we haven't answered or that we don't plan to answer going forward, let us know too here, and we want to make sure that we can bring in the folks that are important to you guys.
And if for some reason down the road somebody that heard this didn't think they needed it now and can't remember who Ivy is or where she was, you can always reach out to either Chelsea Place or myself at Discount Med Direct, and we can get you in touch with those people. We have their information.
Yeah, and this show is the senior sauce, which I don't know if you guys know how that name came about, but every time Amie would say senior source, it would come out sauce
with her accent.
Yeah, and then I think when she said it sauce, it came out source. So I don't know,
I think
but
you're gonna have to add that accent in there.
Yeah, I know it doesn't. It's not the same when I say
No,
it.
she's definitely.
So. But it's when we were discussing that together, so what we ended up doing is Chelsea Place Senior Care and then Discount Med Direct are our sponsors to make this show possible, and really just wanted to be a general resource for folks that are caring for a senior that is a senior themselves, or might be caring for a loved one, or might have a friend or a neighbor that's going through something like you were mentioning earlier. So that's what we're here for, to be that resource. And to reach Discount Med Direct, how would they find you, Suzanne?
Our phone number is 941-421-7155, or we're located at 2414 Tamiami Trail, Unit 1.
And she can save you tons of money on medications.
Whether you're a veteran or not.
Exactly.
I will send you to Ivy, though, if you're a veteran.
Thank you.
And if you need any care, that's what we're here for at Chelsea Place. And you can reach us at 941-676-3411. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was awesome. No, I appreciate it, Ivy. How much time we got left?
A lot.
Oh, we do? Oh, man. Well, I guess we can just talk about how was the last week? How was that?
About 2.5 minutes.
Okay.
I have a new product line that we got in, which is kind of cool. It's called Spook, which is spoon with a K.
Okay.
It's acupressure mats and acupressure balls that you can use for plantar fasciitis. You can lay on the acupressure mats and it helps relieve pain and helps you to fall asleep better. So if anybody wants to try those
I
out.
feel like you always got really cool things coming in.
We have a sample of the mat. You can come in and kick back on our couch for a few minutes and test it out.
Yeah, that's awesome. It seems like every week you got something exciting, something new that's coming on board. So
I think you guys have a trivia night coming up.
We do, yeah. Was it July
30th?
Actually, I don't know, man. We have so many events. I try to keep track of all these events, but it's a fundraiser event. It's a $10 donation to come. We got all sorts of food and drinks, and it's just a lot of fun. And I honestly, I remember thinking, I hate trivia, I suck out of it. But I had so much fun getting everything wrong. It was,
Well, and you do it as a team. So even
exactly.
if you're not good at trivia,
Right.
you can come and get on a team.
And I think that's what I realized. Even though I was terrible, like my team was really good. So
that was my same experience at the first one that I went to. And that's not me at all. I sat with the team. We had one guy that was amazing, and he wanted to leave early. We're like, no.
Right. So come join us. That's July 30th. It's on a Tuesday. It's from 5:30 to 7:30. It's to support the United Way of Charlotte County. So it's a great fundraising event. It's just a fun way to support a local nonprofit, and we do that every quarter. And we select a new nonprofit every quarter. So it's actually at Chelsea Place Senior Daycare, which is at 3626 Tamiami Trail, Port Charlotte, Florida 33952. So.
And I have the Medicare Minute coming up on the 24th at our office at 11 o'clock. So you can come in and get some questions answered about Medicare if you want to.
Exciting, man. Exciting, man. All sorts of fun stuff coming up, That's awesome. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. All right. So for all those, we'll see you guys next Wednesday at 11 a.m. to noon. The senior sauce, all the ingredients that you need to make the right choice in senior care. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us today, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, Ivy.
Thank you.
Right. Oh my God. I gotta work on my ending here, man.
It's my job to
You
make
need to
sure you
count
don't
down.
land short of the runway.
Right. No, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
You're right on the threshold.
Yeah.
You're down, flaps up.
I'm trying to get used to my, the like. It's weird being the host of the show or like trying to host it.
Now
it's like,
I think next week you're not here.
Right. Okay. I know exactly. I know.
So
So it's up to Amie.
Amie and I are going to have to come up with it next.